שיעור בגמרא במציע דף עין, אז פרק השוכר זרובנים דף עין זין עמוד א', this is the sixth shiur of this פרק. Line begins with the word chalshi, with the word omar ma. The Gemara is going to discuss the few halachas in the Bryce. In the previous Bryce in Daf Ayin Vav Amud Beis, the Bryce brought two cases which seem extra according to Chachamim and two cases which seem extra according to Rabbi Pinchas. And the Gemara is going to learn new cases out of those cases. Over there we talked about poyalim who quit in the middle of the job. Okay, so it was a machlokes between Rabbi Pinchas and Chachamim. Rabbi Pinchas holds that if you quit, you're going to get paid only what will be leftovers from the second poyalim salary. And Chachamim hold that you're allowed to quit, and whatever happens, you're not going to lose anything. And the Gemara is going to discuss the reasons of Chachamim and Rabbi Pinchas. So let's read inside the Gemara. In the Rashi is the word line begins with the word lahem. The Rashi dibur amaschil yad poel al aliyeno. Zog de'ili ki Gemara. Omar ma. Whenever you say Omar ma, you don't translate those words. You just say we learned before in the Bryce. Omar ma, we learned before in the Bryce. Shomim lahem esma she'osu. That we have value to them, to the first workers, what they did. Meaning, even though they quit, they get what they did. Ketzad. Even though it was worth to finish the job 6 dinarim, that the second workers wanted to get more for their job. No, he still gives the first workers a selah. Why? According to Chachamim, the first poyalim are not losing? Because Savri Rabbanon hold yad poel al aliyeno. The hands of the workers is on top. Why? So Rashi is going to explain. Rashi yad poel al aliyeno says the Helik Rashi v'afilu choyzer boin, even if he quit, it still has the upper end. The yochoy lachzer boy is able to go back out. Why is that? K'dersiv, like it says in the pasuk, ki avod hayem, we are only allowed to be as slaves to Hashem v'lo avodim la'avodim, and not slaves to other slaves. Which means that if you're going to tell the workers that they're not allowed to quit, you stick them in a situation that they're not able to quit, then you're causing them to be slaves to a slave. Now, obviously, they're not causing a damage; it's just causing a delay to the balabos, so that's allowed. And from this pasuk, he learns it out where in the first parak of Kiddushim. Back to the Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the two cases which is extra according to Chachamim, and two cases which are extra according to Rabbi Pinchas. We learn that if the first workers quit and they want to get paid fully, they have a choice to finish their work, and they're going to take 2 slime. Pšiטא now. It's obvious. If they're going to finish the work, they're going to get what they work for. I mean, otherwise, what else they're going to get? They finished the job. They did everything you do. Rashi, Pšiטא, the chigamri. It's obviously when they finish shne sloim or the shakli, they take 2 sloim. So what else? Back to the Gemara. And for the Gemara lo yitzricho, we don't need this din only in a specific case. The Gemara tells us a new case. The ayayker avidato. In the middle of the job, the market price went up, and the poyalim realized they can get more for what they're doing. So what did they do? Ve'imu poyalim, and the poyalim quit. V'oz al balabais upaisino, and the balabais went and begged them back to work. So they came back to work. Now, when you don't complete your sentences, when you don't finalize your words, and you don't write things down, that's a source of problems. So everybody assumes everything. They assume that since he hired them back, he's going to give them more money. He assumes some other things. So let's see what the Gemara says, who is going to have the upper end. So Mao the Tema, we would have thought. Why? Motzom relate that workers can tell the balabais. When you begged us back, adai to the Tofan Slona Argo, we begged us back and we had on mind that you're going to add us on our payment, and therefore we're going to say, and since Yad Poel al aliyeno will mean that Yad Poel al aliyeno means that they're always going to get what they want, and therefore the Poyalim is going to get the higher price, Kumash Malon, that's why the Gemara comes to the Bryce, comes to let us know that no, Yad Pol al Alyono doesn't mean they're always going to gain. It means they're not always going to lose. And therefore, he has to have a tiny to hold back to make what he says he wants to pay them, whatever they made up in the beginning. What is he saying? He tells the workers, do you know why I took you back? I had in mind that I'm going to work hard and give you food and drinks. And he did. Therefore, that was your extra payment. But to get actual more money, they're not getting. So from this Gemara comes out that if Itake didn't give them any food and drink, so they have a right to get the upper price. Rashi, Poyalim became more expensive. Ve'imru, now Rashi wants to explain what is the word Ve'imru. We explained the word Ve'imru that they quit, so Rashi wants to tell us where it comes from. Loshon Efresh, a loshon of separating, and going back, u'misrachak min hadover, and distance from whatever is holding. U'beloshon amikro doimeloi, and in the pasuk is a similar expression. Koeis b'morim tamri. Here, now in the sky, you're going to fly away. So we see tamri comes from the word of taking off and moving away from the same place where you were. Paisino, says Rashi, irba technonim. He begged a lot. Now, ma the teimen, we would think that the workers are right. Why would we think that the workers are right? So Rashi, given the yad poel ala elyono, since the hand of the worker is on the top, therefore we would think that he always wins, and the chiddush is that it's not. I just want to read the Toises yad poel ala elyono. Toises brings out that point according to Chachamim, the Banim Toises. Yad Pol al Alyoino, says the Eilike Toises, Keloima, Ein al Tachtoina, means they don't lose, but it not necessarily means they're going to always gain. How do we know? No, I'm sorry. Keloima, Ein al Tachtoina, it's not al Tachtoina, it's not on the bottom they're going to lose. Kedoomar Rabbi Yosef, just like Rabbi Yosef said, Shepoiches Laima Shetzorich Lisker Pa'alim Yeker. Not like Rabbi Yosef said that he deducts what he has to work, hire workers for more. So Chachamim says, no, he doesn't. But it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to get always the higher price. Back to the Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to go into the second case, which was pshita in the Bryce. Line begins with the word lechu b'achila v'shtir. Sela. We learn also that if the second worker only wants a sela, no sela, he gives to the first one a sela. Obviously, if the second worker only wants a seller, obviously he's only going to give them a seller. What else is going to give them? He's not losing. He's spending the same amount of money that he spent before. And for the Eilike Gemara, we don't need this din only in a specific case. The market price was cheaper in the beginning. When he hired them, the price in the market was cheaper. Ve'agrinu, and when he hired them, betfei zuz, for 1 zuz more than the market price. Okay, so let's see, the market price was 3 zuz. He hired them for 4 zuzim for half a day. Now, what happens later? Later, in the middle of the job, and then later on in the middle of the job, the market price also went higher. Now everybody gets 4 zuzim. So now they feel, just like when you hire us. We're going to read it inside. I'm just going to say it balpeh. They feel that just when you hire us more than the market price for 1 zuz. So now give us also 1 more zuz more than the market price. Let's see if they're going to be right. Later, the market price went up, and it was established for 1 zuz more for every after the job. So now the time we would have thought that since Yad Pol al Alyono would mean that what they're always going to gain, and therefore Amrilei, they're able to tell him, Tfei zuz amratlon, we told us you're going to give us 1 zuz more for every half of the day. Tfei zuz avlon, therefore you give us 1 zuz more. Komash malon comes in Bryce and Lalasna according to Chachamim. The Omar Lahu is able to tell him, Ki amrelechu tfei zuzo. When did I tell you that I'm going to give you 1 zuz more than everybody else? I see that was not agreeable to you. You didn't want to agree to be hired. So I was able to spend more money, so I agreed for a little bit more. But Ashta, now do you already agree for that price? Ashta Kimlechu, now you agreed for that price. then your price is not attached to the market price. Your price is based on what we made up, not based on the market price. Therefore, I'm not going to give you, now that the market price went up, I'm not going to give you more. Rashi, Pshit, line begins with the word Pshit. Pshit, they mean seller, yofe masha also. It's obviously that if what they did is a seller. No Islam seller, he obviously gives them a seller. Why? Elomaiten. What else is he going to give? He's going to give them more. Whatever they did is worth a seller, so he's going to give them a seller. When he hired them, workers were cheaper than when he hired them. And these workers, they didn't want to be hired like the rest of the workers. And he had to have a more than anybody else. When he made up to give them one seller and a half a job, everybody will only get a seller minus a dinar, which means three dinarim. Now they only agreed to give them more. The rest of the workers now also taking a seller like that's a new market price. So now the Taima says Rashi. We would think that the workers are right. Why? Since Chachamim holds Yad Polal Al would mean that they're always going to gain. They were able to tell him whatever the Gemara says, that since we got more than a market price, so we're going to get now also more than a market price. Next Rashi. You didn't know that you should get a seller. You didn't know that the market price is going to get up. It's going to go higher. And I was able to hire you for the higher price. I didn't mind to pay a little bit more. And I saw in your mind, I saw in your mind that you will not agree to less than a seller. So I said to myself, I'm going to give you one zuz more on the payment of the work. In order to take a seller, to fill in what you want. That's what I agreed in the beginning. Says the Garashi. Everybody takes seller like you. On that condition, if I didn't agree to add. Meaning, I agreed then, at the moment when I agreed to give you more, but not that your price is attached to the market price, that every time the market price go up, you also go up. These are the two cases according to Chachamim. Now the Gemara is going to explain the same cases according to Rabbi, but this time is going to be reversed. Rabbi holds Yad Poel Ala Tachtoino, and therefore we would think that you always lose, and the Chiddush will be no. Into the Gemara. First, the Gemara is explaining what is Rabbi's opinion. Rabbi value to them what has to be done, meaning we have to look at what the second workers are going to take. For example, if it was worth to finish the job 6 dinarim, he only takes them shekel, which is 2 dinarim. Why the Rabbi holds that way? Because Rabbi holds the hands of the workers is on the bottom. Why? Number one, because he holds, you're not allowed to quit. If you quit, you're going to lose. Simple as that. There's no such a thing as just quitting anytime you want. You cannot cause even a delay for the balabais. Now, what is Rabbi doing in the pasuk? Rabbi says regarding the pasuk, it's a pasuk has to do between Hashem and us. Mitzvahs. We're not allowed to be slave for other things, but business deals. You have to follow what you made up. Back to the Gemara. In the Bryce, according to Rabbi, they can also, if they don't want to lose money, they can finish the job and then they will take 2 slime. It's obviously, what else? They finish the job, they should get 2 slime. And for the Eleki Gemara, now the Gemara is saying the opposite of the Chacham. But we don't need this din, only in a specific case. The Zalavidato, in the middle of the job, the market price went cheaper. And therefore, Ve'imar Balabais, and Balabais fired them. He fired the Poyalim. Why did he fire the Poyalim? Because he figured now he can hire workers for cheaper. V'azul Bal Poyalim Upaisu. And now the Poyalim went and begged them to come back. And again, nobody actually finalized if they're going to get the new price or they're going to get the less or the more. So now, the Tema, we would have thought, since Rabbi Yisrael holds Yad Poel Ala Tachtoino means they're always going to lose. Why are they going to lose? Because Rabbi Yisrael hold that who has the upper end is the Balabais. Why does he have the upper end? Because he has the money. And if you want to take money from the Balabais, you have to bring a proof. What was the intention? What's the meaning? And since they can, because nothing was written down, so they're going to lose. And therefore, Motzi Yom Alahu. The Balabais will be able to tell him, do you know why I rehired you? Adaito de Batzrisu li ma'agraich. I hired you know that you should lower me from the price, not for anything else. Therefore, you should get less. Kumash Malon, the chiddush of the Bryce is that Yad Poel Ala Tachtoino is only when they quit. But here they didn't quit, so they're not going to get the lower price, especially when they can tell him. The Amrilei, they tell him, they have a taina. Do you know why we came back? Do you know why we came back for the job, to do the job? We were willing to give you something extra. What is that? We had in mind that we're going to do a better job for you, and we did. Therefore, we should get the regular price that we made up in the beginning, which is too slow. Rashi. Rashi, line begins with it, Neisi Loisif. Since Rabbi says that Yad Poel Ala Tachtoino Tahamei, the reason for that they're going to lose, Mishum the Tofis Balabaisu, is because the Balabais is holding the money and they want to take money from him. And now that the Poyalim banked them back, Motzi Yamalo is going to tell them that I'm going to lower your price. That's it. Now the Gemara goes to the last case. Also, it's the opposite of Chacham. Back to the Gemara, Sela, no Yisraelim Sela. If that's only word to finish the job for a Sela, he gives the first worker a Sela. Frag the Elike Gemara Pshita. It's obviously what else is going to give. And for the Elike Gemara, Omar Avune Barei Rav Nosson, this is the only answer that we know who answered it. We don't need this din only in a specific case. They made cheaper to him the price when he hired them. They made it cheaper to him for one zuz for every effort the job. That means everybody else gets one seller, and they agreed for 3 dinar. So then the market price went down. Now everybody gets for the effort job 3 dinar. So now he wants to give them less. Maybe we were thought that since Rabbi Yisrael Yad Poel Ala Tachtoino, so the Balabais has the right to say what he wants, and therefore he's going to tell them. But Zuz, you told me in the beginning of the job you're going to get 1 zuz less for every effort job, and now that the market price went down, but I'm going to give you 1 zuz less also for the rest of the job. Kumash Malon, come Rabbi Yisrael, let us know. The Amrilei, they can tell him. Ki amarnu loch bebatzir zuzo. When did we tell you that we're willing to take 1 zuz less? It was not agreeable to you. You didn't agree to hire us for that price. So we were desperate. So we agreed. But now that you already agreed for the price, our price is not attached to the market price, and therefore give us what belongs to us. And the Rabbi Yisrael says that they are right. Rashi. Sela no Yisraelim Sela. Zog Delek Rashi, and if what has to be done, he can finish it for payment of a seller. He gives them whatever they did, a seller. Next Rashi, that's why he's going to finish for a seller. When they made up the price, after the job was worth more than a seller. When they agreed of the whole job 2 sloim, they were desperate, which means that the market price was 1 1/4 for every effort of the job. They agreed to take a seller. Now that the market price went down, then everybody gets a seller, so he wants to give him 3/4, 3 dinar. So Ve'oizilo gabein and made it cheaper for him. Mao the Tema. Oil where Rabdoiso Yadpel la Techtoine, since Rabdoiso holds that the hands of the worker is on the bottom. Neim Elohu is able to tell him, Botsu Zizu Amrisuli. You agreed, you told me that you're willing to take one zuz less. Botsu Zuzu Shekoilo, so therefore you're going to take one zuz less. Very Akoilo Isim Chetzio Beselo. Everybody else gets one and a half a job for a seller. So therefore, so you're going to take whatever you did. Seller chos zuz, a seller minus a zuz. Kumash malon. So therefore, the Bryce let us know according to Rav Daisha. The Amrilei, they tell him, Ki Amrinaloch, when did we tell you that we're willing to take less? Hadaito de lokimloch. Blasa is beseller. We saw on your mind that you not agreed to do for that price. I believe that's a little mistake. Oh, rak beseller. Okay, so let's read it again. We saw that he didn't agree to only do for a seller. And we saw that we cannot convince you to add seller. We agreed for a seller. What's a seller? The hupachos, which is less, which is less than what everybody else gets for that job. As to the kimloch, now that you already agreed for that price, we cannot take less than that. Why? You agreed for a seller, therefore you agreed for that price, and our price is not attached to the market price. Thank you so much for listening to the shiur.